Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Jacoub Sleibi. I'm 22 years old, and I come from the little town of Bethlehem. I have two sisters who are married with babies, newborn babies, and I live with my parents. Just a little more than one month ago, I graduated from Bethlehem University with a bachelor degree in science in computer information systems and business administration. I have the pleasure to have been invited to be with you in London here today to discuss the current circumstances of the Christians of the Holy Land. The circumstances facing the Christians of the Holy Land. In part, I would like to speak about the immigrations of the Christians from the Holy Land that reduced the number of Christians to nearly 50,000 Christians, which is only 1.5% of the total population in the West Bank and Gaza Strip. I really don't want to speak about facts and figures, but it does help us to learn about some statistics in order to see the context of my own life and my family's life as Christians living in the Holy Land. More than 2,000 years ago, one of my neighbors, you may have heard of him, Jesus is his name, taught us the Lord's Prayer. Give us this day our daily bread. And in these days when I pray, I would say, give us this day our daily bread and water. Water is life's matters and matrix, mother and medium. There is no life without water. Lack of water is one of many difficulties that we face in the little town of Bethlehem and in Palestine. And unfortunately, my friends, it became an everlasting problem. Before I came to this conference, I worked hard with my dad to bring 3 cubic meters of water to our house for our daily use. And I gained experience how to use the single amount of water for twice, so the amount of water would last for a longer period. Now let me tell you and share with you this. 83% of the existing water in Palestine goes to Israel and its illegal Israeli colonies that surround the Palestinian cities, leaving only 17% of the Palestinian water for the Palestinians, which is not sufficient for agriculture nor for our daily human needs. These colonies enjoy supply of water for 24 hours daily, imagine. This is one of the factors that I think about when I think of immigration and my own future in Bethlehem. In Palestine, the Christians of the Holy Land, like our sisters and brothers who are non-Christians, unfortunately do not have freedom of movement. For those who haven't lived day in and day out in a situation without freedom of movement, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, it might seem not to be a big deal, but it is. And I guess that's why it's serious for judicial systems to look up criminals and take away their freedom of movement for a crime they committed in a court of law. But for me and my fellow Christians and non-Christian Palestinians, the perplexing mystery underlying frustration is that we are not criminals. I am not a criminal. And yet, my freedom of movement has been taken away from me from my birth until the present, and perhaps indefinitely. For instance, many times I tried to go and pray in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem, but as a Palestinian, I need a permit or a permission, and it's difficult to get a permit from the Israeli authority, and in many times is impossible. Another serious problem that the Christians in the whole land face is access to medical services. There are hospitals in the Palestinian territories that can serve us. However, unfortunately, there are times when a Palestinian needs special care, perhaps for a cancer treatment. And there are well-equipped Christian hospitals in Jerusalem, such as St. Joseph Hospital. But as Palestinians, we cannot go to these hospitals, unfortunately. And I know many people, like one of my fellow students from Bethlehem University, Nadim Matar, who was in a serious need for immediate medical attention at Hadassah, Jerusalem. And despite the pleas from his Israeli doctors at Hadassah and the Palestinian doctors in Bethlehem, the nearly 8-hour delays, in securing permission from the Israeli military authority resulted in Nadim dying in the ambulance on the way to the hospital. Many men, women, and kids have died before they have been granted permission to cross the wall to the hospitals. I think and pray about these things as a Christian in the whole land. When and how will these fatal injustices come to an end? The absence of freedom of movement, access to religious places, the high unemployment rate, lack of water, the weak infrastructure all make it difficult for anyone to live in the Holy Land. Many people have lost their hope and have left either to the US, Europe, or Latin America, or other Arab countries. Most of these who have left from the middle class, scientists, successful business people, educated professionals, and politically moderate. Right now, thanks to my faith and my family. For me, I refuse to be a victim or an enemy of this handicapped life. I do not consider myself as being oppressed, even though there are oppressive structures and systems in the place around me. I believe that we, the new generation, are keepers of the flame, bearers of hope for a better future. Many times, my friend, I wish I had a magic wand to erase all the rigorous circumstances. But let me tell you a secret. I found that this magic wand consists in having the will to survive with hope, no matter what the circumstances are. Unemployment and poverty rates are increasing. Last month, salaries were not paid by the Palestinian Authority. In the midst of this, nevertheless, I have decided to do postgraduate study outside Palestine and then return so I can increase my chance to have a job in Palestine, in my hometown. And in this manner, I can help in the development efforts in Bethlehem and in the Holy Land. I hope there will be no more throwing in the towel moments in the Christian community. And those who believe that it would be a good idea to escape and immigrate are only elevating pessimism. For me, to immigrate is an uncritical and misguided reaction to this pessimism, blaming the others without any positive actions. This seems to be a preferred strategy for many Christians living in the Holy Land, and of course the criteria of measurement of their patriotism. For me, this is extremely frustrating and unfortunate. It's a castrating attitude for people who do not understand the importance of the place. Trust me, these people who leave the Holy Land may regret that one day they left their land. While I do understand their hardship and I cannot judge their intentions, I believe that we have to look at the future if we are actors of our own history, not subjects of history decided by objects of history decided upon others. Ladies and gentlemen, no society on this earth, God-given earth, likes to be condemned to be the eternal loser of history. I believe that there will always be a minority, and a faithful minority, that will emerge and make history. The Christian people in Palestine are part and parcel of the Holy Land, and we are people of history. And in my opinion, history is always undecided, and we should help history to make the right choice. God has given us free will. And let me tell you, my friends, that only optimists who make history, the credible optimists, not the naive optimists. Therefore, we should be practical and not act on simple wishful thinking. So let us reinforce efforts to deepen knowledge and understanding of diversity of cultures by direct dialogues, and readiness to accept one another, including our differences. Let us remember the hospitality of Abraham, father of the Jews, Christians, and Muslims. This hospitality, and not wall and humiliation, is a key living in the Holy Land. As I support a state that has technocracy leaders, that encourages inclusive excellence, pluralism, and religious tolerance, a nation where each one can have freedom of worship. Let the extremists, my friends, learn that their strategies are fruitless and will only result in an ongoing calamity. In my opinion, those people are factions, are oppressed factions who may remain oppressed until they vanished into historical oblivion. Pope John Paul II said, "The future starts from today, not tomorrow." I would love to feel that the other churches around the world are close to the Church of Nativity and are close to us, the Christian people of the Holy Land. Therefore, I see that each one of us in this room, in this special day, have two main objectives. The first one is to increase the awareness of circumstances in the Holy Land and to educate the Western Christian public opinion about the Christian presence in the Holy Land, its importance for the whole Church, and its challenges for a continuous witness of a living faith in the land of Christ. The second objective would be to offer developing partnerships, encouraging pilgrims to come to Bethlehem and Jerusalem, and supporting the local Christian communities in the Holy Land by providing projects in terms of economy, development, and education as signs of hope. Ladies and gentlemen, I came to London with full of faith that my voice would be heard. Evidence that you have heard me will be your actions in supporting the Christians and the Palestinian people of the Holy Land. May God bless you all for your goodness. Thank you.
Jacob, thank you very much indeed. What rings inside of me as I listen to you is your great courage. You've been able to speak to us very plainly of the difficulties you face, and you highlighted water, freedom of movement, access to health care, unemployment. But it was your courage, I think, that spoke most eloquently. Actors of your own history, recognize the openness of history and the diversity of its reality. And you, as a young man of great realism and courage, really encourage us to look carefully at what we can do together to try and move forward and shape the history that is so close to your heart. So, Jacob, thank you very, very much indeed.